same Hamashiach has abolished the enmity or the enemy in his flesh, wherein all the scripture is Torah, the enemy of mankind. There is nowhere that we can truthfully say that the Torah is the enemy unto us. The only way the Torah becomes honestly an enemy to you is that you don't follow it.
That's right.
But it is not a natural enemy against us just because he created it to be. It's an enemy because you make it an enemy against you, because you don't follow it. Now listen what he says. Listen what else from the beginning. From the very beginning, there has been a very well established historical enemy of Hamashiach and mankind. This enemy has always been Satan. Somebody say Satan.
Satan.
The devil has always been the enemy of mankind and Hamashiach.
That's right.
It is more interesting to see and to witness people conjure up, phantom, determine, interpret that the Torah is our enemy. There's something wrong with that picture. A stop sign is not our enemy. A yield sign is not our enemy. The lights that hang up to tell us when to go, traffic lights, are not our enemies. What they do is they help us to be able to stop when we need to stop, yield when we're supposed to yield, and go when we're supposed to go. It gives order and it defines our lives. This is not the Autobahn. You don't drive and do what you want to do. There are rules and regulations, and these were set for our safety. Somebody say, my safety.
My safety.
It is the same thing about the Torah. It is set for our safety, but above all, it is set to distinguish us against every other nation. Watch this. This Torah, the Torah which is good, righteous, and set apart, being turned into the enemy. But this was prophesied to happen. Let's look at Yeshu or Yahu 5 and 20. This is so important. I was reading this and I was excited about it as I was reading it, because I was saying, wow, this is important that we understand this as a people, because now we don't have to sit up here and be wondering, okay, well, if that's the case, then how come it said it's an enemy? But you have to understand the enemy knew what he was doing because he understood, and I hate to put it like this, the fickleness and the mentality of a lot of our ancestors, and even a lot of us. Now watch what it says. When you have it, say that it's so. Now, we're going to look at this. Yeshayahu, or Yeshayah, chapter 5, verse 20. And 21 is going to be our key verse. Verse 20 and 21 is going to be our key verse. And it is so. All right, I want to hear from the King James, and then we're going to hear from the Abrahamic Covenant.
Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter.
Now, this is our key verse. Woe to them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Now, the reason I said read it out of the King James Bible and I read it out of this is because it reads what? The very same way. Nothing different, is it? No. Nothing different. The problem comes in is when we read verse 21. Read verse 21. This is where problems come in.
Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight.
Read it again.
Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight.
Mine says, woe to them that are wise in their own sight and prudent in their own sight, which is the same thing. A different word. When you become wise in your own sight and you become wise to yourself, you will begin to call what is right wrong and what is good bad. You begin to call what is bad good, what is evil right, and what is righteous, you begin to call it evil. this was prophesied and this was spoken of about the Torah. The enemy knew that the moment people would begin to read and not read with understanding, they would begin to say by reading Rabbi Shaul's letters that he was speaking against it and he was talking against it. Once again, you have to understand that who he was speaking to the lost sheep of Israel. So therefore, his language to somebody that is a foreigner or an outsider, it would seem that he was coming against what he himself was promoting. This is a major problem. Are we understanding?
Yes.
And the problem comes in is how can you tell me that you are a Christian and the very thing that you're supposed to be building your life upon, you turn right around and tear it down and say, there ain't no way the Most High would have told us to do this. We're reading out of the same Bible or out of from the same structure or setup, but yet you tell me that it's wrong. Something's wrong with that picture. Why? Because when people began to see themselves as wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own ways, they began to say, there's no way. It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't match. It just doesn't go together. There is no way that he's going to bring me off from under the Lord and put me back under. You start thinking, be quiet for a moment and listen with your spirit and stop listening with your mind. He said, once again, how can we turn around and say that the instructions of the Most High are evil? Once again, because when you interpret it and you begin to call it law, the first thing people say is it's just a bunch of rules and regulations. Once again, that word was interpreted and they took the Torah and interpreted it into law instead of leaving it as Torah, which means instructions. Which means doctrine, the teaching and doctrine and instructions. How can that be evil and against us? It is not. But it's how we interpret it and it is how we view it. I remember hearing apostles say this, and even as I was in the office studying, you see from where you sit. So people that have nosebleed seats, they have a hard time seeing.
That's right.
Until you get close enough to the Torah to see what it really means, you will never see its true identity. You will never be able to identify with this truth and identify with this perfectness until you get close enough to it to see it's perfect. And people are not willing to get close enough to it. That's why they make all excuses. That's why they don't tune in like they should. That's why they don't come and sit long enough, because they won't get close enough to the Torah to see that it's perfect.
That's right.
Join Senior Prophetess Sabrina Brown and the NYK family at 4027 Baldwin Road, Columbia, South Carolina, 29204.